Nick, why do you think 60% of properties, according to EweMove, sell with the second estate agent?
Well, the very glib and initial answer is because the first agent didn't do a very good job. And that can be summarised or probably wrapped up in a number of different ways. They've either overvalued it, they've not marketed it correctly, and they've not made use of all the portals that are available and tried to use one instead of 2 or 3 to try and reduce costs. They're not open, weirdly, when people ring up to try and arrange a viewing to buy the house.
Okay.
And it can be a whole host of all those reasons, which is why the right buyer is not able to get through the front door to go and view the property, so of course it doesn't sell. So when the second agent comes along, there's an opportunity then to look at the pricing. So was it overvalued initially, and that's what's caused the problem? Was it marketed correctly across all the right kind of channels? And was there appropriate time for those buyers to gain access to the property? And critically, who did the viewing when those buyers turned up? Because I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, but not all vendors are really the best people to sell their own house.
Well, quite often they'll point out all the bad things, won't they?
Exactly, yeah. And they'll say all of the things that they've done on the house and all of the things that they love, but they're not listening to the buyer need and matching the features of the house to what the buyer is looking for, because they're more concerned about what they like about the house, and that's not the way to do it. Or they might say, oh, the neighbours are a nightmare, or the roof's caving in, or it's a bit damp over in the corner. You might want to get that looked at, and all of the things you just talked about.
Okay, are you implying therefore that estate agents should do all their viewings?
Yes.
Why is that? That sounds an awful lot of time.
It is a lot of time. But if you're employing a salesman to sell your asset for you, then surely you should expect that salesman to sell that asset for you, not to devolve the responsibility back to you.
But that's what I employ Bill for, the retired police officer who does a bit of company viewings for me. or young Jamie, Jamie who can turn up in the office Vauxhall Nova and just he's got just picked up the brochure as he walked up.
Right, okay, yes, so we're going to open a big can of worms here, aren't we? Yeah, absolute nightmare. That's totally the wrong way to, and I know a lot of high street agents do this. It's not something that I subscribe to. So the way the EweMove model works is that if you wanted to sell your house and I was the EweMove franchisee, you'd call me around and say, Nick, I want you to come and do a valuation or appraisal on my house. I'd turn up, we'd have a chat. I'd give you a price that I think we could achieve for the house. And if you decided it was good and you liked me, you'd say, okay, Nick, go ahead, can you sell the house? That's where our model differs to everybody else's. Because what then happens next is really important. So if you're an online agent, then basically the rest of the job is over to you. You go on a portal and you decide when you're going to do viewings or what offers to accept.
That's one end of the extreme.
That's one end of the extreme. Then you've got the traditional high street agents, and that does vary because you've got some super premium, excellent high street agents out there without a shadow of a doubt, and they're going to survive long term for sure. They will take over the full extent of the work as EweMove does. So what we'll do is I'll say, right, I'm going to take the photos now because I've been trained about how to take good quality professional property photos. I'm going to write the description, and I'm not going to be saying there's a radiator in the hall and it's got a boiler and a telephone point.
Situated in the rolling countryside.
And I'm not going to use any language that I wouldn't use with my mates down the pub. So I'm not going to say, you go through the entrance vestibule. I'm not going to say that because I wouldn't say it down the pub to my mate. So that's the wrong language to use. So I'm going to get all of this stuff right. And it's going to reflect what I've learned from you about the house. Then I'm going to put it online. It's going to go on EweMove, Zoopla, prime location, on the market potentially as well. And people are going to want to come and view the house, maybe from people that I've got who I know are interested already that I'll talk to, or new inquiries coming in. Now, if those inquiries come in over the weekend, somebody's going to pick the phone up at 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning saying hello, and they'll be able to take their details and book them a viewing.
That won't be the franchisee though, will it?
No, they won't, but it was 24/7. So if you work nights or if you work in a call centre, you can't use your phone all day, how is that individual going to contact you if they can't call you out of hours? So all of these things are going on. Then I'll call the viewer back if I haven't spoken to them already and qualify them carefully. I'll understand what the budget is, have they got the mortgage, have they got the house sold already, why they want to view that house, what is it that they're looking for, all this kind of stuff. And then when they come to do the viewing, it's me that opens the front door and says, hello, come on in, let me show you around the house.
What are you doing with the vendor?
The vendor's going out, especially if they've got a dog. We're going to take the dog for a walk. or if they're at work, that's fine, the house is empty. But the vendor must not be in the house, absolutely without question.
How's that?
Because, I'll tell you in a second. Very good point. So I've welcomed the viewers into the house, and I've structured the viewing according to what they're looking for. So if they want a big back garden, we'll start in the big back garden. If they want a massive kitchen, we'll start in the kitchen. You get the idea. And if they love the house, I'm going to sit down around the kitchen table and I'm going to negotiate an offer in the house, right there and then. That's why the vendor can't be in their house, because they can't be in earshot.
Surely that's a bit hard sell, isn't it?
If they want the house, they're going to make an offer. If they don't want the house, let's say they want to go away and think about it, that's absolutely fine. Because let's face it, you can't sell a house to somebody if they don't like it. So there's no hard sell involved. They're either going to go away and think about it, in which case I'll do a quick video tour of the house to email to them so they can remind them what they've seen, especially if they're looking at 4 or 5 in one day.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah. And then if they don't like it, critically, they're going to be honest with me and tell me why they don't like it. And that's just as valuable, because when you come home from walking the dog, or I ring you to say the house is empty, you're safe to return, I can have a chat with you and tell you what it is that viewer didn't like about the house. And if it's something that we agree that you can fix, we can fix it. If it's just to their taste and they don't like it, well, fair enough.
Surely that's an awkward conversation to have with your vendor, isn't it?
Awkward at all. If you're doing the right job, right, don't forget, at the appraisal, you and I have sat down, we've had a good old chinwag about what you want to do and what you want to achieve, and I've given you good quality, honest advice. If somebody comes back to you and says, I don't like the black paint in the back bedroom, because I've had this one, you may love the black paint in the back bedroom, because you might have used it, let's say you're into photography, you've used it as a little dark room. Well, if that's stopping the sale of the house, it's incumbent upon me to tell you. And you could say, look, we've got 2 choices. You can either leave it there and just accept that it's going to put some people off, or you can take the weekend to put some white paint over it and brighten it up a little bit, and then that should solve the problem that we're getting consistent feedback for, and you can sell your house. But if you do the viewings, and the viewer comes around and says, oh, thanks for letting me view, I love the house, we'll be in touch.
Oh,
you never know.
The less they buy, the more they talk.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Oh, we'll see it. We'll give the agent a call.
Yeah.
And then you don't get the call.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then the vendor blames the agent.
Precisely, because the agent can't get the real feedback, which is really, really important. So you've employed me. Let's go back to sort of basics here. You have employed me as an agent to sell your house. Every single part of that sales process, if I'm not involved, I'm not doing the best job possible. I'm doing a job, but it's not the best job. And I want to do the best job. And all of the EweMove franchisees want to do the best job for their vendors, which is why we're the #1 agent in the UK on Trustpilot.
Okay, forget Trustpilot. Most of them are made up. They're not.
I won't hear such slander.
What's your numbers?
Okay, what numbers do you want?
Forget your Trustpilot.
Mm-hmm.
What numbers are you hitting from people actually, I don't know, offering through to completion, and even, just listing through to completion, or any other stats you might want to share? Come on.
Well, it's simple.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So 70% is the number that you should remember. So every house we put on the market, 70% of them will reach completion, not an offer. They will complete.
Those are impressive.
That's what we do.
You're not getting the message out very well on that one, are you?
Do you know what? In areas where we have a franchisee operating, and we had a company called 20CI, you probably know them very well, they did some analysis for us so we could look at how we are performing relative to everybody else. Where we have a franchisee operating, we are the fastest growing agent by market share. So where we have a franchisee, we do lots of local marketing. What we don't do is sell houses or market in areas where we don't have a franchisee.
Hence why probably the message is not getting out as well, because there's no point in wasting money on that.
Correct. So we're not going to obliterate the whole of the country with advertising when we don't have coverage across the whole of the country. Because if somebody rings up in an area that's 30 or 40 miles away from the nearest franchisee, we're not going to sell that house, because we cannot deliver the high service proposition that we deliver if it's miles away. So we're not going to get people to travel 50, 60 miles to do a viewing. That just doesn't make sense.
Those are big numbers. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Well, I wish you well, sir.
Thank you very much.